Hello everybody, it is I, Stipling Vaughn, and this last weekend I was at the Baltimore Comic-Con. So I figured I'd do a short video to let you guys see what I got. This is the yearbook that they have every year, and every year that they have this convention, when they do this yearbook, they honor a specific artist or a specific thing. This year they're honoring Crossroads or First Comics with, you can see the main characters that they were spotlighting or honoring. The American Flag, E-Man, Grimjack, John Sable, and of course Nexus. So Nexus was the character that almost everybody drew, which I found funny how they had Steve Rude there, but they didn't have Mike Bair there. But, I mean, it is what it is. Okay, I'm not going to go into all that stuff. But it was a really good show. I enjoyed myself. And I thought I would show you guys some of the stuff that I got signed. I can't show you all because I got quite a bit of stuff signed. But I wanted to show you a few things that I got signed. The first thing that I got signed and really want to show you guys is I got John Workman to sign this. This is the Terminator RoboCop comic book. And the reason why I got this, I wanted this signed by John, and I told him, was, okay, Frank Miller, he wrote a pretty good story. Walt Simonson, yeah, he did some pretty cool little doodles, but the FX and the musical score and the sound effects, it was all John Workman. I mean, look at that. Okay, check that out. Okay, that is all him. And you take a look at it. He's the one who's really doing the storytelling. He's the one that's really getting you immersed into this book. And you can see how he's just singing. His sound effects is carrying the entire story, really more so than even the art, even the pencils. I mean, you take a look at how in this page here, how he has the whir sound with the RoboCop robot. I forget what it's called. But then here we have more of the sound effects. And this book just through and through, okay? I mean, again, you jump to the very middle, okay? Again, the sound effects, okay? His lettering is what really carries the whole story through, and that's the reason why I had him. I only have issues 2, 3, and 4, but I had him sign all 3 issues that I own. So the next book that I want to show you guys, I got, this is the second. Okay, this is the second Justice League of America comic I ever bought. I bought this off the spinner rack, and Mike DeCarlo did the inks over George Perez. So it was imperative that I get this one signed. This has great significance to me. Where it may not have any significance to any of you guys, it had significant importance to me. So again, I had to have this one signed. And then after that, another one. Now I had this one signed first by Greg LaRoche, then by Paul Levitz, and then by Mike DeCarlo. Again, this one has a specific significance to me because of the fact that I was down with my grandparents and asked my grandmother to take me to the local comic book store, and that's the book that I picked up. The next one, again, these are my favorites, okay? You guys are probably going to look and go, you got that signed? Okay. Anybody that's watched any of my other videos, you know I am a huge fan of the original creation of Vibe. He was the perfect character for me when I was a kid. So when Mark Irwin was going to be there, he inked 2 issues of Vibe. So the significance, that was the reason why I had to have those signed by him. Vibe was my favorite character when he was created, and in the Justice League Annual number 2, he was just perfectly done. And this version that Jeff Johns came up with, in my opinion, it was horrible. And he made him into like a little white bread suburbanite, and that's not who Vibe ever has been. Vibe has always been a urban, almost like, I don't want to say ghetto, but I mean, just for descriptive purposes, he was always that type of a person. He was like, he would have been like a gangbanger. He was the perfect person. If I had the opportunity to create him today, he would be completely and utterly into the LA car culture tuner scene. And, okay, had met Chris Claremont. I had Chris Claremont sign this one specifically because this was one of those issues I really like. Instead of him signing specific X-Men issues with Storm or Wolverine, I like this one. This is the one where the sidekicks had to step up and they had to defend Mur Island. And two of the characters that he created was in New Mutants, he had the Indian, or he had the cop and the nurse that got turned into Indians, and they got spotlighted in this issue. And I asked him, I said, I know you were kicked off the book, off the title, but had you created did you have any stories in mind for those two characters? And he goes, I always have stories for all of my characters. So, now this one here was, I looked up on Mike's Amazing Comics. And according to Mike's Amazing Comics, this was this artist's very first professional job. So when I presented it to him and I said, is this indeed your first professional job? He was like, it is. And I was like, yes! And I'm doing the happy dance. I'm like, yeah, 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 yeah. And my girlfriend's looking at me and she's like, you are weird. And it was John Bodavins. I know I'm pronouncing the last name wrong, okay? But this is his very first professional job, so I had to have him sign it. And then just before we left the show, we were walking by and Garth Ennis was at his table. And we were about to go. The show's getting close to closing. We're not even getting close, but it's getting to the end of the day. It's like after 2 o'clock or on a Sunday, a lot of creators were all of a sudden, we're gone. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. And that's always the way it's been. It's always been after 2 o'clock, it's a crapshoot as to whether these artists are going to be there or not. And so Garth Ennis was there. And so I had this book. And I want to say for the last like 3-4 years, since he started showing up in Baltimore, I've always had the book with me, but never had the opportunity for him to sign. Either his lines were too long or he wasn't there or what, but he was there. So I had him sign this one. Okay. And this one had significance to me, of course, because my family is Irish, and my family dates back to, I didn't know, I looked this up when I got home. I didn't have it to tell him, but my family immigrated from Londonderry, Ireland, North Ireland, and it was John Totten. And according to the records that my uncle's been able to find, John Totten enlisted in the army at the moment he arrived in the United States. He immigrated from North Ireland to the United States specifically so he could fight the British. That's how much my family hated the British. So I found that I always find that very amusing. That like it's like, yeah, my family never liked the English. So, but no, it was very nice having that, getting him to sign that issue. And it was funny, when I first started talking to him, it wasn't until the end of the conversation I could really start picking up on his Irish accent. So I think next time I'm definitely going to, if I have the opportunity, try to talk to him longer so I can really see if I can get more of that English accent, that Irish accent out of him. Okay, now this next one, again, probably not one that you'd be like, huh? But it was important to me, okay? When the pandemic first started and everybody went into lockdown, okay, I used that opportunity. And what it is I want to say for like 2-3 years prior to the pandemic, what I've been doing is like, if like all the artists that normally show up at shows, okay, like that specifically Baltimore, but on also Garden State. Like Tom Mandrake's almost always at the Garden State show. Joe Staten, he's lots of times we've been showing up at both of those shows. Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, always at Baltimore. So all those artists, what it is, instead of each year going through my collection, trying to find stuff that they saw, that they worked on, and then after the show, find something else, I'm like, oh, I really wish I've had that. Like I said, 2-3 years before the pandemic, I started pulling them out and started categorizing them in a long box. So what did I do when we went into lockdown? I just went through my entire collection and just went through every single book, opened it up, and like, okay, yes, that artist is pretty much a regular at the shows I go to. Or, for instance, an example would be like Alan Davis. Alan Davis had been to the Baltimore show. So I started putting them in alphabetical order, like all the Alan Davises together, all the Sean Chen's together, all the Mark Morales together. And in doing that, here I was like, well, wait a second. I've got this book where it's Mark Waid is the writer, and Sean Chen was the penciler. How do I have this separate? Because they're both regulars at the Baltimore show. And then so I started making a binder where, so if that way it's okay. You're looking for a Sean Chen book. You go to where Sean Chen name is in this book, and okay, here's all the books that he's worked on, and here's where they're listed, not under his name, but under someone else's name, like Mark Waid or whoever. Okay, so this one here has been filed away under Andy Lanning, okay, since the pandemic, and it wasn't until Saturday when I got home, I was looking at the yearbook and discovered that Jeffrey Moy was in it. So I was like, wait, I know that name. Looked it up in my book. Here it was. So I went, dug it out real quick. So I went down, and this was the book that I was, amongst all of any of the books to get signed on Sunday, this was the one I was hoping that it was that indeed Jeffrey Moy. So I went up to him and I said, "You're the Jeffrey Moy that did this, correct?" And he goes, "Yes, it is." And so I had him sign it, and he signed it on the inside, thank goodness. But no, he signed this. And when I first got into comic books, it was Star Wars and it was G.I. Joe. And Star Wars, we all know, with Walt Simonson inks and Walt Simonson's pencils and Tom Palmer's inks. And Tom Palmer did such a great job. He gave Star Wars such a signature look. So, and he did an excellent job of nailing down the likeness of the characters, okay? So I told him how he did such a good job of nailing down the likenesses of these characters, along with these new characters here, having a distinct look. Now, the big thing about this book is it was basically a marketing tool to introduce and advertise the new Star Trek video game. So, but he did a great job of nailing down the likenesses, did a great job, and that's the reasons why he did the book, because he was already a approved artist for doing the likenesses, because he was working on the video game with the video game company. So he was already licensed or an approved artist, and that's the reason why I did the job. And I'll tell you, he did a great job. And I have the utmost respect for these artists that have to do a licensed property, and they have to nail those likenesses when the studio is saying, "Hey, we got to make sure that these characters look like the way they are in the real life." And he said to me, and I agree with him completely, the hardest character for him to do in this series was Tom Paris. He has such a generic look to him. He's a tall, skinny white guy. And so, yeah, so I mean, all the other characters have some type of significant feature about them that makes them easier to draw. But Tom, no. So, but no, I'm very, very happy that I got this book signed amongst all the others. Because I mean, this is one of those books that was always been like a kind of like a Hail Mary. I've always wanted to get signed, never expected I'd ever get signed. So, yes, I am very happy to have that one. I might have to put that one in with the Star Wars books, so that because the Star Wars books are never getting sold. That's someone else to figure out, because I'll be dead when those books are sold. Now, the next one here, a few years ago, I had Mike Perkins, okay? I had him do the, sign this. This year, I had Laura. The reason why I wanted this one specifically to be signed of any of the other ones from the stand, this is the one that has the segment on the Darwinism, okay? After Captain Trips came through and had wiped out all 90% of the population, there was still a portion of the population that didn't make it from, you know, how Darwin is. Adapt, baby, adapt or die out. Nature will take care of the rest, okay? And this one, Mike did about, I think it was like, even though it was probably about, maybe about 5 to 8 pages in the book, those two, Mike Perkins and Laura, it was basically a 2-page spread with the panels kind of merging together to almost like a vignette of different images, and basically showing how like these characters, these people died out. And so I told her, I mean, that's the reason why I had her specifically to read this book, or why I had her sign this specific book, and the response was very appreciative. And then this one here, I had Jose, the first opportunity I had, okay? This book came out in January 2015. So in September or October 2015, I had Jose sign this book, okay? Well, this year, I took it down, and I had Joe Prado, who did the inks. I had him sign it. And again, this is one of those where me and him had a long conversation, because this book, what makes it really good is you get the whole story, but it's double thick, it's extra thick, because in the back of it, you have all the pages just in pencils. So Joe was going on and showing me stuff about it. I was showing him stuff about it, about one of the, like, if you take a look in the very first, like, 2 pages, where there's a couple scenes where there's a large crowd, and you can see where Jose pretty much masterfully drew just ovals for the faces. He didn't need to go any further, where Prado went in and then put in faces in there. And the two, I think this is the very first time Joe Prado ever inked Jose. He was really appreciative that this is the book I wanted him to sign, and me and him talked a long time about that. And also an issue he did of Justice League during Rebirth, and the reason why we discussed that one was because he had shared the first page on Facebook, and he put so much work into this cross-hatching to show these clouds at the horizon line. And what did the colorist do? Erase them and just put in the computer coloring. It's like, ugh, that pissed me the fuck off. So I, of course, had to explain that to him, and he, again, was really appreciative. He was like, yeah, thank you so much. And it's like, yeah, it's how it is frustrating when you put all that work in, and then when you get it, and here the colorist just erases your work. It's just, know your goddamn role. So, and then the last one was this one, okay? I showed it to him, and okay. Gumby, Winter's Fun, okay? Art Adams. Now, anybody who knows Art Adams knows that Art is begrudgingly polite, okay? He's a little grumble, okay? I showed him this book, and he lit up, and he was like, oh, I had so much fun doing this. He goes, he wanted to do more of them, but the rights went to a different company that he didn't care for, and that's why he didn't do any more of these, but he had so much fun doing it. This is a book that I've had for a long time. The first time he was ever at the Baltimore show, I think it was like 2 or 3 books I had him sign. The reason why I had him sign those was because it was the New Mutant special and X-Men. I think it was X-Men Annual 8 and 9, I think it was, or it was 9 and 10. I can't remember which. But those two, I had those signed. So, but this was the top of the list after those. So this was like when I knew he was going to be at the show. This one was one of the first books I pulled out to have signed. So those just a small sampling of the books they had signed. Now I got a few other things while I was at the show. Didn't get a whole lot because I was mainly focused on wanting to get the signatures and meet these people. Okay, but the first one is there was a girl, and the way they had it set up was at the table, like the island table, okay, where Art Adams was, and Chris Claremont, and Mark Irwin, and da-da-da-da-da. Okay, they had people who had these little machines, and with Chris Claremont, she would walk up the aisle, up the whole row, and she'd be like, okay, how many books you have inside? Okay, and she'd type it in, going, how are you paying? Okay, give me your credit card. Okay, here's your receipt, and it has a number listed as to how many books you can have signed. You show it to him, that way he can confirm that you've paid to have 2 books signed, therefore you can only get 2 and not slip in the extra one. So, but she had her, okay, this is a book, like a book that she had available, and you can tell she does not have, it's not done in a comic book bag, so I'm gonna have to replace this with a comic book bag. But she just, but I want to take it out and show you guys. And I told, I as soon as I saw it, it was pointed out to me by Shay Red Valkyrie. She's the one that showed it to me, and I was like, oh, get me a copy. So she got a copy for me, and I both of us were like, I was just like telling this girl, I'm like, anytime you get a chance, get Hopper and Shay's channel. So, but this is her. It's just an Ashcan show of her concept work, and of course, Hard Target, Paradiso, All Rights Reserved. Let's see, she doesn't have. Give me a minute, guys. Okay, she doesn't have her name listed on here. 24 by 4, comic book artist, manga artist, commissions open most of the time. So, anyway, there's her. That's her business card. So it doesn't really have her name on it. So, but that's her information. And this is just her concept art for what she's working on. So I thought it was really smart to have. So, but that's very nice artwork. I enjoy it. So, I thought what I really like is the line work with this line work and his coat, along with the graphic. So you look at the graphics and how they're on an he's on an escalator, she's on an escalator, but you can see how you're using these hard lines to create framing device for them, and then of course your device in the background. So I'm very curious. And then of course we got another image, but I liked how she renders it. And I'm looking at it, I'm pretty sure she's digital, but still, I mean, well rendered. I'm definitely hoping that she is able to get spotlighted on Shay's channel, and we can all support her when she has her book available, or if she crowdfunds it. So, but yeah, when you take a look, especially when you get into like this stuff here, you can see how she's doing digital art with digital graphics. So, but I liked it, and I'm glad I have it. And then I have my book, Scat Investigators, and I traded one with Jason Bascom for, he gave me this. So, and you take a look, take a look at how he puts so much energy into that line work. And it just blows me away how he's able to, it's so much, you take a look at how he has so much energy in this. And then again, on top of it, putting in the way he puts the colors in, just very, very nice. And with me not being a huge color person, it's very good to have this so I can see how he does it, so I can incorporate it into what I'm doing. And then at Art's table, of course, I had to get his, this is the closest, this is pretty much his yearbook that he has available this year. So, and it is chock full with, I have it with images. So you got nice close-up of Wolverine. Okay, I'm not going to go through the whole thing because I haven't even looked through the whole thing. But, I mean, a chance to see this where you get to actually see the Blue Line artwork. And then, of course, afterwards you have regular line work. So that's one I'm definitely going to be going through on a regular basis. And then lastly, well, second to last, Billy Tucci. He has his challenge coins. This challenge coin he doesn't have available for sale. You have to get one of the regular challenge coins to get this one. So this was $20, and then you got this. So you got basically got two challenge coins for $10, or for 10 each, so $20 for both. So that was great. And then lastly, I went to have Dave Johnson sign some books, and what it is that when Devil's Due, if you remember the publisher Devil's Due, they were doing G.I. Joe, and he did some spot artwork in the Cobra book, and he pulled out and showed me. I didn't know this. He did a triptych, like 3 covers, all connected. And this was for towards the end of the series. And you can tell because you got Snake Eyes here, you got Duke back here. But then in here, you got Dr. Mindbender, you got the female Snake Eyes, and then you have the Crimson Guard, the female Crimson Guard, who has the patch. And then, of course, Cobra Commander and Baroness with Serpentor. And if we all know, Serpentor was reincarnated at the end of the IDW series. So I got this from him. So I'm very excited. I'm very happy to have this. This piece, I will tell you, I'm going to be putting it in that frame. So Graham, Art, I love you guys, but this is G.I. fucking Joe. It's going to be going up there. So yes. So okay, so that's what I got. Like I said, I'm not going to show you everything I got, but I want to give you a good taste. And going to Baltimore is a great show. And if you go down there, you will have a great experience, okay? It's had a very good venue. If you want close parking that you want to feel secure with, is right across from the Days Inn, there's a parking garage. Or right after the Days Inn. And it's all in Lombard Street, okay? There's 2 parking garages. You park there, and you're a block away from the convention center. Let's see here. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Let's see here. Use a marker. Okay, so okay. Parking garage. You walk down this street, past the Days Inn. The Pratt Street Ale House is right here, and then right there's the con. Okay, so you're very close. That way if you have your stuff, you can feel secure. You don't have to worry about being attacked or anything. Okay, so that way you can go straight to the con. Right there's 2 parking garages, so you'll be safe. One is 5 floors, one is 7 floors. But not just that, but also you get there and everything's there. They have concessions inside the con. They have the seating area for sitting down and eating inside the con. So if you want to take a break during the day, it's not like you have to leave all your stuff or take your stuff back out to the car. You can take your stuff, have it with you there at the show. And then what's also really nice about the con is it is a large hall, okay? The only day that you really have to deal with a lot of people is on Saturday. Friday, you're relatively in good shape. You don't have to, there's crowds, but not crowds. And then Sunday we lucked out this year. Okay, last year Sunday was kind of busy, but this year it was the first weekend of football, and that was nice because we didn't have as many people in the show. The only drawback is because it was opening weekend and the Ravens were at home. Parking at the garages was through the roof. But hey, it's what you're going to do when you're going to a metropolitan area. So, hey, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Going to cons is always a great experience, especially when you have the ability to talk to these artists, okay? And if you've done your homework on these guys, if they have a YouTube or a digital presence, okay, you can talk to them about specific things. That way, it's not one of those where it's like, I really loved it when you did this issue. No, I mean, you can really talk to them about other things. Or, yeah, I did talk a lot about, I really loved it when you did this issue. But bring it to a level that you can actually address them in a manner that they find interesting, that will be more engaging to you, okay? But hey, remember, sometimes it goes well, sometimes it goes bad. Sometimes you have good experiences, sometimes you have bad ones. But it's up to you to make it a good experience. And remember, life is stressful, but that's why you just take it all one